Kenric, the next one is you with a pretty interesting title in this proposal, Quality of the Community Decision. I would like to hear what is that about.
Yes, and actually, hopefully our scientist, Andre Villela, will join us in a moment. I know he was trying to join the room. I think we can go ahead and get started, and then if he joins, he can add a little later. But yes, and then Joanna is going to be on this team as part of our governance effort. Let me share my screen. All right, can you see that okay? So we are proposing to simulate the quality of community decisions. And this came about from some discussions with John that although SingularityNet has made a commitment to using the techniques of quadratic voting in order to make sure that we have a good distribution of inputs on our decisions, we actually haven't implemented it correctly. We currently weight the wallets, but the benefits from quadratic voting come from weighting people's preferences. So right now we use a scale of 1 to 10, but there's no cost on which value you use. So what John has asked us to do is to simulate this difference, because before he makes a change, he'd like to know more about the relative merits of different voting techniques. Now, there's a lot of different things that could be explored in a simulation. However, for this first effort, we're planning to focus on this issue of the contrast between plural or quadratic voting implemented with the strength of preferences versus the way SingularityNet is currently implementing that. And then we will also lay out a roadmap of other capabilities that these simulation tools could provide. We are partnered on this project with Andre Villela, who's an exceptional international scientist working in the field of statistical mechanics and Monte Carlo simulations. He's published a lot of terrific papers. I was privileged enough to be on a couple of them with him. And he is a professor in Brazil. However, he just recently accepted an appointment with the State University in New York. So he'll be moving to upstate New York later this year, and he'll be collaborating there very closely with our other colleague at FOTREC, William Thistleton. So if he joins, he can dig into the simulations a little bit more. But the core idea is that he uses Monte Carlo simulations to model sentiments in a community and how communication between members of a community persuade people to vote one way or another. And then from that foundation, we'll apply that to at least 2 different voting methods in order to compare outcomes. And we'll be particularly looking at trying to get some assessments about the relative merits of these systems with regard to trying to make quality decisions. Quality will need to be a metric that we come up with, but it has something to do with the distribution of opinions and then the distribution of what actually wins and gets support. And so then Joanna is going to explain that we added funding to the project for a red team. So Joanna can explain what we mean by that.
Yeah, thank you, Kenric. So as you guys know, with all of our FOTREC projects, we always try to engage the community as much as possible because we obviously see a lot of value in that. So for this specific proposal, we set aside around $5,000 to engage with 2 or 3 experts from the community that would be selected by the SingularityNet community itself to support us on providing like a technical review and just an independent critique and recommendation for our simulations, the results, the analysis, and everything that we're going to be reporting on in our milestones. So from that, the first milestone will have some selected experts to review, and they'll be forming the red team. And then for every milestone, they would have a comprehensive evaluation done by the red team on our output. So for milestone 1, it would be our milestone 2 outputs, it would be the plural voting prototype design that's going to be done, and then just the Monte Carlo modeling. But then after that, it'll be actually the quadratic voting implementation, as well as the complete plural voting design. And then we would also include their recommendations and their analysis in our final report. And they'd be able to present their independent evaluations and recommendations, and we'll integrate that into our final report and recommendation as well.
Thank you, Joanna. So, as I said, the simulation work is challenging, and we're going to be starting somewhat from scratch so that this will be open source software that the community can use. So for that reason, we have not been over ambitious in terms of what we'll try to analyze in this first round, but we are hoping that this will be a platform for future development of questions like when you apply reputation scores, how does that affect the outcome? Or if we apply mitigations against collusion, how will that affect the outcomes? And so that's some of the future work that we hope this platform will enable the community to take on. And part of the way we're doing it is that the simulation work will inform what we decide as a community to develop for the voting platform. And since Votrek is part of the team developing that platform, we also wanted to include a red team to kind of have a very thorough, independent critique of the recommendations that we're making. Thank you. And we really look forward to supporting the community with this effort, and we'd be happy to take any questions.
Wow, really professional presentation, Kenric. I see it here, Andre Vilela. I have a question. You're Brazilian, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Great,
Yes,
Andre.
Vilela.
Glad you could join us.
Hey, Andre.
So
Yeah.
they give you a super great presentation. I want to hear your background from you. And also, I'm really like to know, how do you get involved with Poltrack and the deep funding ecosystem itself, and Kenric and Juana? It's really interesting background.
Oh, this is a question only for me, right? So yeah, my name is André Vilela. I'm a professor of physics in a university in Brazil, and I spent 2 years in Boston working on complex systems and doing research using physics to unveil the exuberant mechanics of such systems, interconnected systems. And we, Kenric used it to go to Boston University to see some and collaborate with some of our presentations and with our research group. He was a professor there back then. And we came out like writing 2 or 3 research papers together already. And we are finishing another one. I'm gonna send to him tomorrow. And so we started research on complex systems using physics and his distributions that he is developing over the years to fit some statistical distribution in financial markets. And we also worked together in other cryptocurrency technologies, because my research has broad applications on such systems, you know. So he got involved with me investigating this, and I don't know, learning science and doing science. And my background is I have a PhD in physics, also a master in physics. And I spent 2 years at the Polymer Center in Boston University. And now I'm a professor in SUNY Poly Institute, which is a university in New York State. But right now I'm in Brazil. I was talking with Rafael Preza. I don't know if you know him, but we are good friends, and he is in the other room. Yeah.
You
Great.
are like the Brazilian Sheldon Cooper. Say hi to
Come on,
a
huh?
brother. Say hi to a brother from Argentina, our
Oh yeah.
neighbor
Oh,
country.
I
Yeah,
used to, yeah, I used to work with a brilliant Argentinian physicist, which was Lydia Brownstein. I don't know if you know her. She passed away very recently, you know. But yeah, she
Oh,
was brilliant. Yeah, we worked together a little. Yeah.
wow. Well, nice to meet
Uh,
you,
Actually, just
Albert.
a little bit of background too. Our very first project together was the diversified voting influence that Andre and I proposed to Catalyst. And then through that effort, we met Megan Hess and the WADA team. And my own background screen here was designed by the WADA branding team. And I strongly recommend you hire them for any branding work you want to do.
Thanks, Kenric, and also thanks, Andre.
Oh, that's
Obrigado,
great.
Andre.
Thank you. Oh,
What I want to
welcome.
know is that, and ask, correct me if I'm wrong. So, you, Kenric, will be like the project manager. Juana will be on charge of the red team to collect feedback for the tech team community members, and Andre will analyze the outcomes from the simulation. Is that
Yeah.
okay? Okay.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like this.
Andre's
I
actually
have
going to
to
build the simulation and
build.
do
Yeah.
the analysis. So he actually has the skills to build the simulations, which is not easy to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
Okay, anyone has another question? Amar.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Hi. Yeah.
Hi.
Thank you for the great presentation and for the very interesting and very qualified team. So my question was about how would you define quality? As I understand you use it as a measure
Yeah.
or a benchmark. So what would be your definition of quality and how would you
I
quantify
think
such a thing?
the key thing is the following issue. When you make decisions as a private enterprise, you kind of trust that you're the one that's going to take the losses if you make bad decisions. And so in a competitive marketplace, we rely on that competition to weed out organizations that are making bad decisions. However, in a public policy, we always deal with the problem of corruption, where we're asking people to input their own private opinions, but we want those private opinions to be aggregated into a public policy that benefits the community. But the problem is any kind of public policy decision can be manipulated or corrupted to benefit an individual or a small part of the community at the expense of the rest of the community. So one measure of quality, for instance, would be how much does the decision benefit the whole community versus it benefits just a small portion of the community. Those are the kind of metrics we'll have to invent and develop for this effort.
Okay, okay. Sounds reasonable. It is a pretty complex issue after all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Guillermo.
So a short one. So for those that don't know the story, we have a very heated discussion with Kenric about voting, about the implementation of quadratic on a town hall not long ago. So I really appreciate this opportunity for building a tool to agree to disagree, that all of these great ideas and mathematical simulations or assumptions or hypotheses can have a laboratory, a place to practice different practical jokes with these great papers written long ago. The discussion we have was involved in how we were implementing the quadratic voting in our the development of our ecosystem. And for those of us that are still learning from you, the guys with the knowledge, it was pretty clear that there was something missing. So this is a great opportunity to build, to have a great application of real quadratic voting, because what we were reading, we were not implementing because we were unable to, with the speed we are evolving with the deep funding, we were unable to process the data in the right way. We weren't having this, help me, Kenric, here, when you reinforce your voting or your decision with the weight of your ballot. So you allocate part of your budget with a decision. And that's something we would like to see implemented. So this tooling will help us to have this, so take the down voting out of the table and still have the community being able to decide where is the risk, where are how to back up the good teams or the people behind the ideas. So it's great to have you, Andre, joining the forces of Fortrek, and looking forward to the development and to test it and challenge it for sure.
Thank you, Guillermo. That's a really great way to express it.
And